That piece of music still sends a tingle up my spine. It was written by John Barry and performed by the John Barry 7+4. During the early 60s, it was the theme to Jukebox Jury, hosted by the late David Jacobs. For Ricky Kane and myself, it signified the start of so many Westover Ice Rink and disco sessions, or as they were often nicknamed, the Frozen Pond Disco. Hello and thank you for joining us. We're about to look back at possibly one of the greatest sources of fun for the 20th century in Bournemouth. It's now 25 years since the Westover Ice Rink closed its doors for the final time. A bitter pill for so many to swallow. So when we look back to the opening in 1931 of this iconic example of Art Deco, we reflect that that was 84 years ago. Designed by architects Seal and Hardy in 1930, the building first opened as Westover Palace Ice Rink. The ice rink was funded and opened by the directors of the Westover Garage and the Sharp family. Major Sharp recognised that his son could be a real skating contender, but he needed a local and convenient facility to practice at regularly. Before long, it became necessary to help subsidise young Mr. Sharp's skating, and so the Westover became a private and elite skating club for the well-heeled of Bournemouth. The rink really became a popular meeting place to not only skate, but to take afternoon tea and cake. In 1933, the first ice hockey match had been scheduled, and Bournemouth played Streatham. This was quickly followed by Ice Speedway, which involved riders and their curious bikes, which steered with an ice skate instead of a front wheel. It doesn't take a great deal of imagination to appreciate the developing expertise in skating that ensued. And so, from small beginnings, the club flourished, and with it, a team of competent and exuberant skaters emerged. 4 years into the life of the rink, and just a few short years before this country found itself at war, and the ice rink accommodated a wartime torpedo factory, 1935 saw the first of many commercial shows, which was the vehicle to show off the local and brought in talent to cast Rita and the Spy. The show was to prove itself a great success and was the foundation and footings for the Ice Follies for the next 40-something years. Many great-name skaters of their time cut Bournemouth ice with their blades. More recent years saw household names such as Anita Harris, John Curry, Robin Cousins, Christopher Dean, Jane Torville, Nicky Slater and many others, all appearing at Bournemouth's Westover Ice Rink. Everyone we've talked to said what wonderful fun the ice rink was. Let's hear their story.
Well, I started learning to skate there when I was 5 years old, and I took to it like a duck to water, and was given a pair of skating boots, and it just went on from there. It was obvious that I loved it, and that was it.
How about the Ice Follies?
Oh, the Ice Follies, yes. I became a member of the Ice Follies in 1960, and well, I mean, it was my dream come true, because I was really in show business then, and that had been my dream from a very small child. And I took part in, I think it was about 10 ice shows altogether, and I started off in the chorus and eventually made my way up to semi-principal, I should say, and did some pair skating and even a little bit of singing in one of the shows.
What year was it you first started at Westover Ice Rink?
Well, I suppose I started going to the ice rink when I was around about 11-year-old, with a next door neighbour. He was quite a keen skater. He used to go along on a Saturday morning for the Saturday morning classes, and I went along with him, and we just sort of took the bug. Continued skating there, got various diplomas of the Saturday morning diplomas and things, then started skating more on the serious side, having proper lessons. I had lessons from a gold medalist, Iris Lord Webb, who was trained by Gladys Hogg up at Queen's Ice Club in Bayswater, London. Took a couple of NSA tests. She moved on to other things, got married and went and lived abroad. Then started having lessons with Shirley Farmer, or Shirley Mormon as we knew her, but her married name was Farmer. I was the same standard medalist in ice dancing as she was. We went up to Streatham once a week and had lessons off Bernard Spencer. That would have been in the late 60s, early 70s. It progressed on from skating there, with only the small ice there available in the summer. Quite a few of us fellas had part-time jobs there for the summer season to earn a bit of pocket money, working backstage for Frank, shifting the scenery around, and also up on the spotlights. Nigel was the electrician there at the time. The following year I went down into the control room with Nigel, and then he left at the end of the summer show. I took over from him on a sort of temporary basis while they advertised the post. They didn't find anybody suitable, or they probably weren't paying enough money to find somebody who was suitable. And I was given the job as stage electrician down there, in charge of all the lighting and the staffing of the electrical staff down there. That's how I came into it, really, as a full-time job.
The shows must have been really important.
Oh yeah, they were a main. They were the regular income of the building, I would think. They always used to say that the shows used to make more money than general skating, but it wasn't viable to have the shows all the year round. Although going back into the 30s, they did put on pantomimes. Obviously it's well before my time, and they also took shows out on tour as well.
25 years down the line, since the ice rink closed? Do you still look back on it with passion?
Yeah, they were happy days. There's no getting away from it. It was a community. Everybody knew one another, and as I say, it was, a community.
Some of the people you met while you were skating.
Oh, well, where should we start? How about the skating chimpanzee? When we heard he was coming, we thought, oh yes, Anyway, when he arrived, of course, he got on the ice and he skated. And it was fun, but it was more fun backstage, because they used to keep him in this great big box. And he learnt how to jump and move the box. And he would jump it right in front of the girls' dressing room. So when we came to dash to go out onto the ice, we couldn't get on the ice.
Lots of people said that Westover Ice Rink was a load of fun. Why was it such a load of fun?
Oh, it was just a great place to be when you're grown up. It was kept you off the streets, and it was more like a family. It was like a family event. You got to know people because you were there so frequently, and it was just great because it was a family. That's what made it. You all got to know each other, and real close friendships were made.
And of course there was the benefit that it was a sporting activity.
Exactly, it kept you fit, didn't it? Which is good, and it keeps you active rather than sitting on a corner of a street on a bench smoking, and with a group of your mates. So
Westover Ice Rink had a strong resemblance to a theatre by virtue that it was an ice theatre. Was that part of the magic of it?
Oh, it was really iconic, wasn't it? As soon as you walked in, you had this massive expanse, this massive high ceiling, red curtains down the side, red curtains at the front where the disco was. It was all hidden. You went upstairs to the balconies, there was a light room, it was just, there's a bar on the side, all overlooking the ice rink, and it was quite magical, really.
Obviously over the years, a number of long-term relationships must have flourished in the ice rink, and indeed marriages as well. Did you come across any?
Oh, loads. No, I've got loads of long-term friendships. The majority of people that went to the reunions, they're long friends, and although you don't see them all the time, they're there.
When you look back at your time at the ice rink, were there any particular high spots, high jinxes, practical jokes, or just sheer fun that you particularly remember?
Oh, we did loads of bad things there, and I'm just wondering which ones I can tell you. It's well, what was one of them? Oh, we used to wind Michelle up all the time in skate hard because she had a bit of a temper. I'm sure she won't mind me telling you that, but we used to wind up to the point she goes, right, I'm going to go and see Mr. Hearn, I'm going to do it. And we just laughed, and then she came back and we apologised and hugged and whatever. It was but it was just the nature, I guess. And then we did things to people on the ice rink, which we kind of debagged them, which is which happened, And I remember we debagged this one person, and it wasn't perhaps as funny as it should have been. But and we you learn things from that, don't you? You think actually it's all good having fun at other people's expense, but when you actually hurt that person, then it was a whole learning process, because I was at the ice rink since I was 6, and and I grew up at that ice rink. I spent every single night at that ice rink and every single weekend at that ice rink. I didn't spend hardly any time with my parents when I was older. I used to spend it, with ice rinks, with friends from the ice rink, and yeah, that was my life until I was at least 17, 18.
Besides the skating that you were obviously very active in, did you ever watch skating, for example, hockey, figure skating, the ice galas, some of the shows?
Everyone watched figure skating, didn't they? It was good. What they did was amazing, and I watched ice hockey. It wasn't really my thing, the ice hockey. It was I was more figure skating, speed skating. I like the speed skating, but yeah, the figure skating was just one of those. And of course, I did figure skating when I started when I was 6, so I gave that up when I started working the ring. So.
What about the event of a return of an ice rink to the town? Would it be good for your children now, and perhaps maybe grandchildren in the time to come?
Definitely be good for my children. Not sure about the grandchildren because I'm not that old yet. But I think it would be good. It'd be good for Bournemouth as well to have an ice rink.
Tell me some of the characters you skated with.
Oh, one of my most favourites got to be Jackie Vincent. He skated at the ice rink, he was in a lot of the early shows, he played Dame, he did all sorts of comedy stuff. And then in latter years, he moved into the theatre and he did a lot of cabaret work. And I was very fortunate enough to be asked to work in cabaret with him. And we used to have a real laugh because he has the same love for what he does as I do. And he also had a pancake parlour, and I would go and help him in the pancake parlour. This was up at the Triangle in Bournemouth. And we would spend ages in the kitchen working out what the next cabaret was going to be. And a little secret I'll tell you, he might not want you to know, you can cut it out if you want to, but it used to get so hot in the kitchen at the pancake parlour, he'd be in there tossing pancakes in his underpants and a shirt. It was wonderful.
You know, I haven't seen her for a long, long time now. I do remember, I do know, beg your pardon, that she has a friend here, I think at Southbourne, and I used to ring the friend up. What happened to neighbours out here? But now, this morning, here I am, talking to you, and bringing back so many wonderful memories of her, and not only her, but everybody that used to be at the ice rink, and those that made good friends, stayed good friends. Oh, the memories I have of the pantomime, with the first one I did here would be, you'll have to excuse me, I may not have the right date, but I do think it was 1957 when it would be Johnny Laird that was the producer, and that was the Queen of Hearts. And I was known as the King, Mr. Marmaduke. And we always had a number in that show called 5'2" or Eyes of Blue. And it really was a good, nice, strong number. And then, of course, from John, I went over to John Moss. Then John talked to her for years, and I was with him summer and winter most of the time. Yeah. And then from there, oh, I've done so many things. So many lovely memories.
5'2", eyes of blue, but oh, what those 5 foot could do. Anybody seen my girl?
Well, we always used to bump into each other when we were out shopping in Winton and things. And we always used to say what a brilliant time we used to have at the ice rink, and it would be nice to get everyone back together again. In December 2013, that's when we decided we were going to do the next reunion.
And we just got bigger, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we got in touch with the bits to get, what was it, 20 tickets, 30 tickets?
Yeah.
And just sell those, and then we just went from there. We sold
About 200 in total.
Yeah, 220 I think it was.
And we were trying to focus on the Facebook group as well, because I'd started a Facebook group in about 2007 just on a whim to see who was interested in talking about Westover Ice Rink. And then we used the Facebook group to reach all the different people, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
And then that's just got bigger and bigger, and now we've got over 1,000 members on Facebook. So, and they spread right back from the sort of 40s, 50s, when the ice rink was really, really popular, right the way through till when it closed. So, and they covers everything from figure skating, hockey skating, everything that was ever done at the ice rink.
And even we had the old speed skater that was 83 who came to the first reunion and put on his speed skates. Yeah. So you couldn't ask for much more than that, really, could you?
And the Echo were really interested because they focus on days gone by sort of thing. So Darren from the Echo was interested in interviewing us and getting information, and we've been really lucky that there's been contacts on Facebook who've had photos from the ice follies, and it's just been so interesting, and Facebook really has been a huge help.
Yeah, it has.
I think without it, there's no way we would have contacted everyone.
Will it lead long term, do you think, to a new ice rink?
We hope so. We've spoken to, I've had had a lot of conversations in the past with Ron Whittaker, who unfortunately passed away earlier this year. He was very, very keen to see a permanent ice rink back in Bournemouth. He was trying everything possible on the council to get them to build the ice rink in Kings Park, and he was feeding back positive and negative information from the council meetings that were happening, and he was giving me lots of details about how we could maybe approach things with the council. But unfortunately, the majority of feedback we've had from the council has been fairly negative. I'd like to think that there would be a permanent ice rink one day.
It's now 25 years since Bournemouth closed. Do you look back on those days with good memories of the ice hockey there?
Oh yeah, I miss them still now today, really, at the end of the day. It was a lot of the youngsters who played ice hockey, were a bit of troublemakers, when they were little young, skylarkers I call them, and I think a lot of the lads have benefited from it. There was one player who I saw about 15 years after it finished, and he came up and shook my hands and he said, "I didn't think much of you that day, but the benefit you made to us was unbelievable," he said. But when we're young, you don't see it that way. That's the way it is, especially me being, when I was playing with Bournemouth Stags, it's 38 and they're 15, 16, and you're still the leading goal scorer, and there's a bit sick there, at the end of the day. But that's a skill there.
Must be very satisfying looking back now that possibly some of those people have got kids who are also playing ice skating now.
Yeah, it is. There's loads of them have gone around. Basingstoke, Gosport, each boys plays well now. They've all had the benefit of it, and it keeps them off going the bad ways in life, isn't it, really? They got an interest. Like most places, like Bournemouth and Southampton, no ice rink now, rip the heart out of the town. Yeah.
It was John at the time that was a manager or something, I think, went there and said, could they play hockey? And they said yes. So it just started up there and then. Colin got it all going, brought the team. I mean, the problem was, that was the time that we were actually travelling to Bristol. We were when Southampton closed, we travelled from Southampton on Tuesday nights to Bristol at 11 o'clock at night to train. And then he got in. I can't tell you how that part happened, but the next thing I know, that Colin said, we're all moving to Bournemouth, which everybody said, well, who all lived in Southampton, just great, over the moon sort of thing.
How much training was involved?
When we moved to Bournemouth, it was once a week, only once a week. Again, like all ice rinks, it was sort of late evening, 10 o'clock-ish sort of thing.
You were responsible for quite a lot of the training going on at Bournemouth for the team. How big a job was that?
I think the beauty of it is I was very lucky because I've played for Great Britain and I've captained Great Britain. And I played in 2 World Championships in hockey, and even as captain of the Great Britain team in the World Championships. My knowledge, because of that, my knowledge is better than a lot of other people's. And I don't mean that to be rude to anybody else. I had 9 years in Europe, and playing in Europe is like the next best thing to the NHL, if to be honest. Because most of the players that come into Europe, the French Canadians, come from the NHL. So what I learned from that gave me a better input to teach younger players.
Tell me about the magnet of the ice rink as we know it.
The magnet of the ice rink was fun. You met a lot of people. Even if you went there for the first time, there was always somebody there that would talk to you. And I say, it was just so much fun.
How often did you go skating?
I started skating when I was about 17. I used to go skating 3 nights a week. Wednesday, Friday and Saturday, which were the hockey nights.
You're obviously quite renowned for your barrel jumping exploits. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I started barrel jumping probably late 60s, early 70s. Just as a matter of progression on. And I think when I started, they didn't have a lot of people jumping, so I decided to volunteer and try to get people interested. And as it was, I found out that I was pretty good at it. And the first year I went in for it, I won the best first year cup. And over the years, I think I amassed 6 silver cups.
Tell me about your involvement with the shows.
My involvement in the shows were basically, first off, converting the ice rink from the full-size ice to the ice show scenario, putting all the seats in, getting all the stage ready, anything like that. And then when the shows were on, I would operate spotlights. I actually started operating spotlights when a friend of mine, John Davis, was doing the spotlights, and 2 of the operators decided they wanted more money and refused to do it unless they got more money. So the managing director at the time, Mr. Neil, sacked them both and asked John if he knew anybody that could step in. So John phoned me up and asked me if I'd go down there, which I did.
From barrel jumping to spot operator.
Yep, from barrel jumping to spot operator.
What were the shows like to work on?
Oh, the shows were brilliant. They were really lovely. Cast and crew, you couldn't fault it. It was something to look forward to. As I say, it was so different than the normal skating, and the shows were really spectacular. Really spectacular. The costumes were brilliant, the sets were brilliant, and I'll say just the actual layout of how they were performed and done were very good, and they had some very, very good skaters down there at times.
Razzmatazz.
Brilliant, yeah, Razzmatazz, brilliant.